You step quietly through the threshold of a time-worn temple, its ancient stones echoing faint whispers lost in the haze of centuries. The air here is thick with a presence both sacred and secretive, a veil of silence that only the initiated may pierce. As your eyes adjust to the dimness, a voice emerges, soft, breathless, yet heavy with reverence, like a chant carried on the cold wind through the forgotten corridors of memory. "Welcome, seeker," it murmurs, "to the shadows of Mitra, the forgotten Christ of Rome." This is no ordinary greeting, no casual introduction for a wayfarer. It is a summons whispered among secret brotherhoods passed from one shadowed hand to another beneath veils of secrecy. The name Mitra hangs in the air like a forbidden word, half erased by time, half concealed by fear. His image, hidden from the eyes of the common world, lingers in the darkened frescoes of subterranean sanctuaries, etched in cryptic symbols that dance just beyond the reach of daylight. You are not here by chance. You are drawn by the pull of a hidden truth, a fragment of history deliberately buried beneath layers of dogma and decree. There is a sacred text, a lost folio, where the story of Mitra unfolds, one that speaks of a God both radiant and condemned, a light extinguished by the rising sun of orthodoxy. The voice urges you onward. Join us in this forbidden remembrance and awaken what was meant to sleep forever. Beneath your fingertips, the cold stone floor hums with echoes of rites long silenced. The flickering torchlight reveals fragments of an ancient mural, a figure draped in radiant robes, dagger raised above a mighty bull. The scene, known as the Tauroctony, is a tableau of divine violence and sacred sacrifice, a symbol reviled and hidden by emperors who feared its power. In these walls, the blood of the bull was believed to hold the essence of life and renewal. Initiates drank deeply from this mystery, bound by oaths and shadows. The cult of Mitra, once thriving under the cloak of night and secrecy, was extinguished by forces both mortal and divine, yet its flame flickers faintly still, in the whispers of those who dare to remember. If you feel the stirrings of your soul, if the desire to peel back the layers of forgotten worship grips you, then do not turn away. Like this tale, subscribe to this shadowed archive. Leave your mark in the silent chorus of seekers who venture into the abyss with open eyes. The voice softens once more, a final breath before the descent. The forgotten Christ of Rome. Now, let us turn the first page. You step from the shadowed sanctuary into the blinding light of history's dawn, where the figure of Mitra first takes shape beneath the scorching Persian sun. In the lands that cradle the Zagros Mountains and whisper the secrets of the ancient, Near East, Mitra was more than a god. He was the embodiment of light, truth, and covenant. His name, older than the marble temples of Rome, resounds through the dusty texts of Zoroastrian priests who revered him as the steadfast guardian of oaths and the eternal witness to justice. But even here, Mitra's true nature is shrouded in ambiguity. Was he a solitary god of the sun blazing across the sky, or a cosmic force weaving the threads of fate? His worshippers believed in a divine balance, a sacred order where light battles darkness ceaselessly, a cosmic duel echoing through the vaults of heaven and earth. This belief forms the core of the mythos surrounding Mitra, a god whose role was not simply to shine, but to uphold the fragile covenant that holds creation together. You hold in your mind the fragments of ancient hymns sung in forgotten tongues, where Mitra's name is invoked alongside Ahura Mazda, the supreme deity. Yet even among these venerable chants, traces of conflict emerge. Rivalries between faiths, shifts in power that relegated Mitra to the margins, transforming his radiant figure into a ghostly memory. In the shadowed temples hidden beneath Roman cities, the cult of Mithras rose, a secretive brotherhood whose rites were steeped in blood and mystery. Initiates were drawn into subterranean caverns, where flickering torches revealed painted scenes of Mitra's cosmic battles and the eternal bull sacrifice. These rites, however, were soon condemned as heretical, their meanings twisted and erased by the triumphant spread of Christianity. Amid these hushed worships lay forbidden beliefs, the idea that salvation was not granted through public sacraments, but through secret initiations, spiritual fire, and the shedding of blood. the very essence of life. This esoteric faith clashed violently with the doctrines of the emerging church, sealing Mitra's fate as a god to be forgotten. You gaze upon a medallion unearthed in a Mitraism, its surface worn but still revealing the entwined, lion-headed figure, a symbol of eternity and hidden knowledge. To hold such an artifact is to grasp a fragment of a forbidden past, one erased by imperial decree, but preserved in the shadows of faith. Scholars debate in hushed tones. Was Mitra the true precursor to the Christian Messiah, a spiritual ancestor whose doctrines were co-opted and recast? Or was he a rival god condemned to oblivion by the tide of history? The answers remain elusive. Trapped within the labyrinth of ancient mystery, you feel the weight of these unanswered questions as you stand at the crossroads of forgotten light and rising shadows, ready to follow the path deeper into the cult's enigmatic heart. You descend into the subterranean sanctuaries where the Mithraic mysteries unfolded in silence and shadow. These hidden caverns, known as Mithraea, lie beneath the bustling streets of ancient cities, their entrances concealed and guarded by secrets older than the empires above. As you step within, the air grows thick with the scent of burning resin and the metallic tang of blood, a tangible reminder of the sacred rites once performed here, far from the eyes of the uninitiated. The initiates, bound by oath and shadow, gathered in these vaulted halls to enact rituals that transcended mortal understanding. Central among these was the Torabolium, the ritual sacrifice of the cosmic bull, whose blood was believed to purify the soul and grant rebirth into divine light. This rite, condemned as heretical and barbaric by the authorities, was a powerful symbol of spiritual transformation, a passage through death into eternal life. The walls around you are adorned with faded frescoes, depicting scenes of Mitra's sacred deeds, his victory over the bull, the celestial banquets shared with fellow gods, and the journey of the soul through cosmic realms. The iconography is dense with symbolism. Dogs licking the spilled blood, serpents coiled beneath the altar, and ravens perched as silent watchers. Each creature holds a key to the mysteries, a piece of the coded theology concealed within the cult's secret teachings. Among the artifacts recovered from these sites are mysterious lion-headed figures entwined with serpents, enigmatic relics thought to represent the god's cosmic power over life, death, and rebirth. These images, forbidden and often destroyed, hint at apocalyptic knowledge and cycles of eternal renewal. As you explore these chambers, the whispers of the past seem to swell, voices of initiates who pledged loyalty in blood and silence, whose faith was both a rebellion and a salvation. Their rituals, hidden beneath the Empire's gaze, were acts of defiance against the rising tide of Orthodox faith, gestures towards a truth the world was not ready to see. Yet the cult's secrets remain, tantalizingly out of reach, locked behind lost scrolls and forgotten languages. Theological scholars avoid these mysteries, their silence an unspoken acknowledgement of the unresolved enigmas at the heart of Mitraism. You feel the weight of centuries pressing down upon you, as if the very stones of this subterranean world remember the divine light that once shone here, a light now obscured by the darkness of history. You find yourself at the heart of the cult's most sacred mystery, the bull sacrifice, a ritual that pulses with primal power beneath vaulted stone ceilings. The Tauroctony, the depiction of Mitra slaying the bull, is more than an image. It is a cosmic event reenacted in secret, a sacred drama believed to unlock the forces of life and renewal within the universe itself. The frescoes that adorn the walls here, though faded by time, still radiate an uncanny energy. You see Mitra, cloaked in radiant robes, his dagger poised above the great beast. The bull's eyes, wide with an otherworldly calm, meet yours as its life spills forth, a sacrificial offering that transcends the mere physical, symbolizing the eternal cycle of death and rebirth. Around the central figures, creatures of myth, a dog, serpent, and raven, stand as silent witnesses, guardians of secrets buried deep within the cult's theology. Historical fragments reveal that the bull's blood was collected with reverence in sacred vessels poured upon altars to sanctify the faithful, binding initiates to Mitra's eternal covenant. These rites, however, were condemned as heretical by the rising Christian church, and outlawed under imperial edicts. The practitioners were forced into deeper secrecy, their sacred acts recast as blasphemy in the annals of history. Yet, despite the Church's efforts to erase these memories, whispers persist. The bull, some say, was not merely an animal but a symbol of the cosmos itself, a living universe sacrificed so that life might continue. Its death represented destruction before renewal, chaos before order, a secret cycle mirrored in the stars and echoed in forbidden teachings. You linger, feeling the lingering pulse of this sacrificial rite beneath your skin, the heartbeat of a god condemned but not forgotten. The unresolved mysteries surrounding the bull's significance haunt theologians and seekers alike, a riddle etched in blood and shadow. As you turn from the altar, the cold stone seems to throb with the fading heartbeat of a divine presence, a light dimmed but never fully extinguished. You stand before the forbidden symbol, the Tauroctony, etched in faint gold and shadow across ancient temple walls. This image, a tableau of divine violence, captures Mitra's act of slaying the cosmic bull, an emblem so potent it was condemned, censored, and driven into the deepest corners of the empire's secret faiths. To witness this scene is to glimpse a theology that defied imperial power and orthodox dogma alike. Every detail carries encoded meaning. The dog drinking the bull's blood, the serpent coiled beneath the altar, the raven perched ominously above. These creatures are more than mere adornments. They are keys to the cult's esoteric wisdom. Some say this tableau is a celestial map, guiding the soul's perilous journey through death and rebirth. Others insist it is a sacred calendar, revealing hidden cycles that Orthodox faith sought to erase. Banned under penalty of death, the symbol was concealed beneath layers of myth and silence. Priests of the emergent church decried it as devilish, while emperors who once tolerated Mitraism feared its unsettling hold over their subjects. The Tauroctony was effaced from public view, its power relegated to whispers and coded references. You wonder, what heresy lay behind this bull's death? What secret teaching did this emblem preserve? Perhaps a path to salvation through sacrifice or a mystical understanding of cosmic order lost to time. Theological scholars remain divided and silent, unwilling or unable to fully decipher its meaning without risking their standing. As you gaze upon the fading lines, the weight of this silence presses down like a shroud. The Tauroctony waits patiently, a locked cipher of divine rebellion and forgotten worship, its mysteries as compelling as they are elusive. You walk the shadowed halls of theological debate, where the figure of Mitra casts a long and complicated silhouette. Here lies the question that has haunted scholars and believers alike for centuries. Was Mitra truly the forerunner of the Christian Christ, or merely a rival god who was eclipsed and condemned by history's shifting tides? Mitra, the solar deity of covenant and light, shares uncanny similarities with the Christian figure of salvation. Both are bearers of divine truth, both embody sacrifice and resurrection, and both command a loyal following devoted to spiritual renewal. The Mithraic cult's secret rites, with their blood sacrifices and initiations, echo in the sacraments and mysteries of early Christianity. This parallel has stirred heated debate. Some posit that Christianity borrowed from the older faith, while others insist Mitra's cult was deliberately suppressed to clear the way for a singular, orthodox Messiah. This unresolved theological mystery refuses to yield to easy answers. Was Mitra a forgotten Christ, a shadow deity whose legacy was absorbed and rewritten by the Church? Or was he a distinct god, condemned and erased by political and religious forces seeking to consolidate power? Evidence is fragmentary and tantalizing. Ancient texts hint at Mithra's divine mission as a savior figure, yet they stop short of outright affirmation. Christian polemicists accused Mitraism of heresy and pagan blasphemy, while Mithraic adherents guarded their mysteries behind oaths of silence and coded symbols. The Church's rise was as much a political revolution as a spiritual one, and Mitra's exile reflects the violent reordering of divine hierarchies. The theological tension between these two figures embodies a clash not only of faith, but of empires and identities. You feel the weight of these unspoken battles as you peer into the shadows, where theology blurs into politics and divine truth becomes a weapon in mortal hands. The question lingers: who truly holds the mantle of salvation? You stand at the crossroads of history and power, where emperors once embraced Mitra's cult only to later turn their backs, setting the stage for his exile from the pantheon of Rome. In the flickering torchlight of imperial chambers, you sense the shifting allegiances, the whispered decisions that condemned a once revered god to oblivion. The rise of Mitraism coincided with the waning days of pagan Rome, a time when emperors sought divine legitimacy through various cults. For a time, Mitra was the favored god of soldiers and rulers alike, his image emblazoned on coins and banners. His rites performed in secret yet widespread beneath the empire's surface. The cult's promise of salvation through secret initiation and cosmic covenant appealed to those who sought certainty in a chaotic world. Yet the tides turned. As Christianity gained favor, its message more accessible, its hierarchy more centralized, the imperial embrace shifted. Edicts banning pagan worship followed, temples fell silent, and Mithraic priests were forced underground. The god who once commanded devotion from the empire's elite became a shadow, his temples abandoned or repurposed, his followers persecuted. Theological decrees condemned Mitraism as heretical, branding its rites as devil worship. Political pragmatism and religious zeal combined to extinguish the cult's flame. The very symbols that once empowered Mitra were defaced or erased, relics hidden or destroyed to prevent their power from awakening. You walk among the ruins of this divine fall, where silence speaks of betrayal and loss. The god who promised eternal light was cast into darkness, a casualty of faith and empire. The echoes of his worship persist only in the cracked frescoes and scattered artifacts, haunting reminders of a divinity displaced. This turning point marks the beginning of Mitra's long exile, a fall from grace that mirrors the collapse of ancient Rome itself. You feel the weight of history's cruelty as divine favor shifts like sand beneath your feet, leaving gods forgotten and myths unspoken. You wander through the desolate ruins of Mitra's once glorious temples, their stone walls now crumbled and draped in shadows. These sanctuaries, known as Mitraia, were once vibrant with the murmur of secret prayers and the flicker of candlelight. Now they stand as silent sentinels of a forgotten faith, their carved reliefs worn by centuries of neglect and the cold touch of time. These underground sanctuaries were more than places of worship. They were portals to forbidden knowledge, spaces where the boundaries between mortal and divine blurred. Initiates believed that within these sacred halls, the veil thinned, allowing glimpses into cosmic truths hidden from the profane world. The architecture itself was laden with symbolism. The low ceilings mimicked the womb of the earth, the narrow corridors the path of the soul through darkness before rebirth. Though the cult was officially suppressed, whispers lingered. Some believed these temples housed relics imbued with Mitra's lingering power, objects said to grant visions or ignite the sacred fire of transformation. Others claimed that secret texts, hidden in the deepest chambers, contained knowledge so dangerous it threatened the very fabric of orthodoxy. The forbidden symbol of the Tauroctony is etched repeatedly across these walls, each depiction subtly different, hinting at layers of hidden meaning. Around the bull and the god, cryptic inscriptions weave a web of celestial allegory, an encoded theology that only the initiated could decipher. Your footsteps echo in the empty halls as you ponder the fate of these sanctuaries. Once hubs of vibrant faith, they became tombs of memory and exile, their stones steeped in sorrow and defiance. The god they honored was cast aside, his name erased from public devotion, yet the spirit of his worship endures, fragile, secret, and waiting. You feel a shiver as the darkness seems to close in, the walls whispering secrets meant only for those who dare listen. The last temples of Mitra stand as monuments to a faith exiled, but never entirely extinguished. You uncover fragments of scrolls and manuscripts, long buried beneath layers of dust and silence, whispered to be the secret writings of the Mithraic order. These hidden texts, veiled in coded language and sacred symbolism, hint at cosmic battles and esoteric wisdom sealed from the eyes of the uninitiated. Each page trembles with the weight of forbidden knowledge, threatening to unravel the carefully constructed narratives of Orthodox history. The scrolls speak of Mitra as a warrior of light, locked in eternal conflict against the forces of darkness that seek to unravel creation itself. Battles fought not only in the heavens but within the human soul, where spiritual fire burns away impurity and ignorance. The writings reveal a theology deeply rooted in dualism, the eternal struggle between truth and deceit, order and chaos, life and death. Among the fragments, you find descriptions of rituals invoking sacred fire, a purifying force that was believed to cleanse the soul and awaken divine potential. This fire, both destructive and regenerative, was central to Mithraic practice but condemned as heretical by later Orthodox authorities who feared its transformative power. The scrolls also contain cryptic references to celestial phenomena, a.e. solar calendar aligned with star constellations, marking sacred times for initiation and sacrifice. This calendar, lost to time and suppressed by dominant religious orders, suggests a complex understanding of cosmic cycles and their influence on earthly affairs. Despite their profound significance, these writings remain shrouded in mystery. Scholars debate their authenticity and meaning, cautious to tread into territories marked by academic controversy and religious sensitivity. The secrets they hold continue to elude full comprehension, locked behind centuries of silence and fear. As you pore over these hidden manuscripts, you sense the breath of a faith vibrant and alive beneath the ashes of history, a faith whose mysteries await rediscovery by those brave enough to seek them. You uncover whispered accounts of heretical beliefs, teachings that shimmer like a forbidden flame in the darkness of lost Mithraic lore. Central among these is the doctrine of the eternal purifying fire, a sacred blaze said to consume sin and ignorance, refining the soul in its fierce embrace. This fire, both destructive and regenerative, was wielded not as a weapon, but as a divine instrument of transformation, a passage through spiritual death into rebirth. Yet such teachings were branded dangerous and heretical by the ascendant Orthodox faith. The sacred fire was recast as devilish flame, a threat to the orderly cosmos imposed by Christian dogma. Initiates who embraced this doctrine risked persecution, their beliefs driven underground into whispered secrecy. In the flickering shadows of hidden temples, they tended the eternal flame, guarding its mysteries against the encroaching darkness of enforced conformity. Alongside the fire, other forbidden beliefs persisted. The notion that salvation was not granted through public sacraments but through secret initiation and personal spiritual trial. The cult held that the soul's journey was an intimate struggle against the forces of chaos, a battle fought in the hidden chambers of the heart. This introspective path contrasted sharply with the communal rites of the Church, further deepening the divide between Mithric believers and their oppressors. Symbols of this heresy permeated Mithric iconography, the lion-headed figure entwined, with serpents representing the cyclical nature of life, death, and rebirth. These emblems, layered with coded meaning, were carefully concealed from outsiders, their true significance known only to the highest initiates. You feel the tension between light and shadow, orthodoxy and rebellion, pressing upon you as you delve deeper into these forbidden teachings. The fire still burns, hidden but alive, a testament to a faith that refused to be fully extinguished. You find yourself grappling with the enigma of Mitra's place within ancient calendars, an aspect of his cult that challenges the very way time was understood and measured. The Mithraic solar calendar, lost to ecclesiastical reforms and the imposition of Christian chronology, was said to mark sacred festivals and initiations aligned with cosmic cycles beyond the grasp of ordinary men. This calendar's complexity is whispered in fragments. It was not merely a tool for measuring days but a spiritual map, connecting the faithful to celestial movements that reflected divine order. The bull's sacrifice, the sun's passage through zodiac signs, and the cycles of renewal were all woven into its sacred design. Such knowledge was jealously guarded, its teaching reserved for initiates who had ascended the ranks of the mysteries. Historians debate the extent of this calendar's influence, noting its deliberate suppression by church authorities who saw it as a rival system, undermining the uniform Christian reckoning of time. The loss of Mithra's calendar represents not only a theological erasure, but a cosmic one, a severing of the faithful from an ancient rhythm that bound earth to heaven. You ponder the implications. What was sacrificed when this calendar was discarded? How did its disappearance reshape religious experience and the human relationship to time itself? The mystery persists, unresolved, a gap in the history of spirituality that beckons the curious and the bold. As you stand at the crossroads of past and present, you sense the lingering pulse of a sacred order once aligned with the stars, a pattern now concealed beneath layers of forgotten faith. You trace the final footsteps of the Mithraic cult as it vanishes into the mists of history, a sudden disappearance shrouded in silence and speculation. The empire that once embraced Mitra now turns decisively away, as Christianity ascends with imperial favor, casting pagan cults into shadow and oblivion. The reasons for Mitraism's abrupt decline remain unclear. Was it a systematic destruction, a gradual assimilation, or something darker, hidden beneath official narratives? Archaeological evidence reveals that Mithraea were abandoned with alarming speed, their sanctuaries left to crumble while Christian basilicas rose over their ruins. The cult's symbols were defaced or repurposed, its sacred spaces transformed into sites of a new faith. Yet, traces endure, in graffiti, in fragmented relics, and in clandestine texts that escape destruction. Some whisper of violent purges, secret trials where initiates were hunted and silenced. Others speak of a gradual fading, where followers dispersed, blending into emerging Christian communities or retreating into secrecy. The truth remains elusive, lost in the shadows cast by history's victors. Theological scholars wrestle with this disappearance, recognizing it as more than mere historical happenstance. It symbolizes a rupture in spiritual continuity, a suppression of alternative visions of salvation and divine truth. The unresolved nature of this vanishing act leaves a haunting question. What was truly lost when Mitra's cult was erased? You stand amid the ruins, feeling the weight of absence and memory intertwined. The silence is deafening, the void where Mitra once stood a testament to divine exile and forgotten worship. Yet in this void, a flicker remains, a whisper of resilience in the face of oblivion. You step into the dim corridors of scholarly debate, where the figure of Mitra remains cloaked in theological shadows and academic silence. Despite centuries of inquiry, his true nature continues to evade full understanding, leaving unresolved questions that unsettle both historians and theologians. The silence is deliberate. Some scholars avoid the topic, wary of unsettling established narratives or provoking controversy within religious communities. Others wrestle openly with the paradoxes Mitra presents, a deity both revered and reviled, whose influence permeates Christian symbolism, yet whose cult was systematically suppressed. Mitra's ambiguous status challenges the neat divisions of religious history. Was he a proto-Christian savior whose teachings were co-opted and transformed, or a pagan rival condemned to oblivion by the triumph of orthodoxy? The evidence remains fragmentary, interpreted through the lenses of bias and lost context. Mysteries abound. The meaning of the lion-headed figure entwined with serpents, the significance of secret rituals never fully documented, the true intent behind the bull's sacrifice. Each unanswered question deepens the veil of mystery, inviting speculation yet frustrating definitive answers. This scholarly silence is itself a form of exile, a cloaking of Mitra in academic shadows as effective as his spiritual banishment. You feel the tension between curiosity and censorship, between the desire for truth and the forces that resist it. In this twilight realm of unresolved inquiry, Mitra's legacy lingers, a ghostly presence refusing to be fully forgotten or understood. You follow faint echoes that ripple through the corridors of Christian ritual, whispers of Mithraic rites embedded in the very fabric of a faith that once condemned them. These echoes, subtle yet persistent, hint at a tangled history where worship and belief intertwine, merge, and transform across centuries. In the liturgical calendar, you find shadows of ancient festivals, a midwinter celebration aligning with The winter solstice, once sacred to Mitra as the rebirth of the sun. The ritual use of bread and wine in Christian sacraments, too, bears a resemblance to Mithraic communal feasts, where initiates partook of sacred meals symbolizing unity with the divine. Symbols once forbidden, such as the fish or the lamb, may trace their lineage to earlier Mithraic iconography. The secretive nature of initiation, the emphasis on spiritual rebirth through trial and fire, and the hierarchical structure of Mithraic ranks find parallels in early Christian mystery traditions. Yet these overlaps are contested, cloaked in layers of theological debate and political power. Were these borrowings conscious adaptations, syncretic evolutions, or mere coincidence? The question resists simple answers, its complexity reflecting the entwined destinies of these faiths. You sense a spiritual dialogue spanning centuries, a conversation in symbols and rituals between a forgotten god and a rising faith. Though Mitra's name was erased from public devotion, his influence pulses beneath the surface, a ghostly cadence in the symphony of religious history. This intertwining legacy blurs boundaries between sacred and profane, lost and found, inviting you to reconsider what it means for a god to be forgotten, yet never truly gone. You listen closely as the final whispers of Mitra's divine breath fade into myth, a god exiled, but never entirely silenced. The once radiant figure who commanded secret rites and cosmic sacrifices now dwells in shadows, his story fragmented, his worship scattered like ashes on the wind. Yet within those fragments lies a resilience, a persistent pulse of belief that defies oblivion. The temples lie in ruin, the sacred symbols defaced or hidden, but the echoes of Mitra's mysteries linger in the hearts of seekers who have heard the call. His exile mirrors the spiritual decay of a world caught between fading gods and rising empires, where divine favor shifts with the tides of power, and faith becomes a battleground for souls. You sense the god's final breath as both an ending and a beginning, a threshold where myth and memory converge. The forgotten Christ of Rome embodies the eternal struggle between light and shadow, order and chaos, belief and suppression. His story is a testament to the fragile persistence of the sacred amid decay. As you close this chapter, the air grows thick with the weight of unanswered questions and the tantalizing possibility of rediscovery. The silence left in Mitra's wake is not empty but pregnant with the potential for new awakenings, for truths yet to be reclaimed from the dust of history. If your candle hasn't gone out yet, you might be ready for the next god.